Okay, I'm just starting the recording now. And then I'm going to start inviting people. So, I'm inviting everybody except for Guy 3.
That's not nice.
I didn't claim to be nice. Guy 3's coming tonight. Okay, here's Daniel Brzezinski. Samir. There's Samir. Omar. There's Omar. Andrea. Andrea. Here's Andrea. Ren. We need Ren. Somebody's here, but I can't see you because I'm not on the screen. But welcome. Ren. Okay, there's Ren. Oh, I need to get one to Fabian too. Fabian.
Samir's here.
Yeah?
Yes.
Hey, Samir. How come I don't hear him?
He's not actually. Here.
Oh, I need to mute you.
I did.
Okay. Fabian. Okay, I think that's everybody. You. Daniel. Samir, Fabian.
Ren.
You, Daniel, Samir, Fabian, me and Guy 3 are the only 4 in the actual Facebook group, and then Rin and Omar I also already sent. So I sent it to everybody. I think. We have a nice view of Samir's wall. Can you send it through email? Okay, I need to send something to Daniel's email. Compose. Dan the Clever Man
Fabian's coming on.
at mail.com. Cool. iPhone Fabian. How do you say his name? Dupois, you think?
I don't know how you spell it.
Dupuis. It's right there on your screen too.
No, it's not. I only see iPhone Fabian.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's strange. Oh, we got a Samir hand.
Samir.
Can you hear me, Samir? Can you hear us? Herding cats.
Can't hurt cats.
I know. Oh, there's number 5. Where's the sound? Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello.
Daniel's here, yes.
Oh, yay.
How you doing?
Welcome, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Glad to have you.
I'm glad I'm here, thank you.
Samir is frozen. Fabian Fabian is doing what... This happens a lot to people. I don't know why, but just their name will come and at some point maybe the face comes through. I'm not sure. But we are expecting... How many people are we expecting?
I don't know.
Like 7? 8? No. We're
Really?
expecting a fair amount of people. We're expecting Omar and Rin. I think we have everyone but those 2. It should be 7, because 5 from our group minus Guy 3. That's 5. And then the 2 extra. And we have 5 here, so we need 2 more. Can you hear me, Samir? Samir is... Okay, well, since Samir is currently self-muted somehow, then Daniel, maybe you can introduce yourself, because this is your first time on this show. Hey, Rin. Rin is here.
Hooray.
Rin, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi,
there
guys.
she is. Hi.
Hello.
She made it.
Hello. Hi,
Welcome.
Samir. Hi, Gary. Hi,
Hello,
Andrea.
Hi, hi.
Hi.
How you guys doing?
Good, thanks. Good, and you?
Good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm just gonna
Oh, it's so nice to hear her
bear with me. I've
voice.
never
Right.
used Zoom before, so I'm just kind of tinkering at the moment.
You've never used Zoom?
No, I only downloaded it the other day. 2 days ago.
Well, I'm happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here. I'm a little bit anxious, but I'll
A little
be okay.
anxious. Everybody has nerves, I think. I mean, I've done so many of these stupid things, and I still get a little jumpy beforehand. I think it's just having, like, so much different energy from so many people all in the same place, and, you know, it just becomes like a mishmash.
Soup.
Yeah.
But that's
Hello,
good.
Daniel.
Hello.
Hi, Daniel.
What's happening?
So this
It's
is...
very clear this time, Gary.
What's that?
It's very clear this time.
Yeah?
The reception seems to be better than the last one, the guys unisolating 5 that I did. The reception seemed less clear. This one's brilliant.
Excellent.
Probably because you were in the car. For the other
Was I in the car? I don't remember. I saw Fabian's face for 1 second and then he disappeared. So the only one we're missing is Omar. I'm just gonna message him and see if he's coming or not.
He's asleep, you know it.
No, he messaged me.
Oh, really?
He sent some emoticons. But otherwise, we have everyone who committed to coming. So that's, if Omar doesn't end up showing, that's still good statistics. That's like 6 out of 7. That's very good. So we have about an hour. We kind of did the kickoff last Sunday, right? For the Snail Collective weekly meeting. But it wasn't named the Snail Collective, it was named Jazz Sinclair. So this is kind of the official one. And I'm going to do one tonight with Gayatri, because Gayatri's in Singapore and her time is way off. Like, to get to her time from West Coast here, you have to add 14 hours. So if we're 11 o'clock, add 12, that's 11 at night, and then add 4 more, that's 3 in the morning that she would have to be coming in at to be on this particular episode. So that's not going to happen. But we're all over the world. I know, Samir, you're in England, is that right?
Indeed, yeah.
So you and
Yeah,
Rin
yeah,
are in the
yeah,
same...
yeah.
Yeah, you and Rin are in the same time zone, probably fairly near to each other.
Oh, right, so Samir is in London. I'm actually in West Midlands, Samir.
Okay, well, not in London. I'm near London. It's Guildford.
Oh, right, yeah, okay.
Are you in the West Midlands?
I'm in the West Midlands, Black Country.
Okay, yeah, no. I haven't traveled as much around England as I'd like to, but hopefully that'll change soon.
I think that's part of what we're aiming. I know that's what me and Andrea are aiming for, is to be able to travel more. And as we all know, there are multiple restrictions on multiple levels that kind of try
there
to
are.
keep people in place.
Yes.
So that's one of the goals for us personally, and hopefully, if the group shares certain goals, then we can kind of work on those weekly and just
Yeah.
express what we're doing towards that and give support. Fabian, can you hear me? It looks like he's trying to talk, but I don't hear anything.
Maybe he's muted.
Are you muted, Fabian? I see the smile. That's really all we need. We need just some nice smiles. Fabian has always had trouble getting the thing to give his face and his words and all of the things combined together, but he's usually just lurking when he manages to come on the show. So either way is fine. So I guess we could do little introductions. Let's start with Daniel, because he's kind of the newest one to my circle to come on. So if you could just introduce yourself briefly and give a tiny bit of backstory.
My name is Daniel. I'm 31 years old. I was born in Russia. I live here in San Diego, California. I've had a lifetime interest in the esoteric and metaphysics, and I've had many experiences ranging from near-death experiences to out-of-body to UFO encounters to just all kinds of weirdness and craziness my entire life. So it's a passion of mine to be interested in subject matter like this.
Nice. I actually listened to the whole show that you sent me, the
Yeah. Nice.
NDE show. I forgot what the host's name was, but
Trisha Barker.
Yeah. It was very good. I know most of us, for the most part, in the regular interactions, we don't get to sort of express and share about the weird side of life. So to be able to see people freely allowed to do that without getting shut down is good.
Oh yeah.
How long have you been in California?
Off and on since 2003.
Oh, you said you were split between New York and California, right?
Yeah, and I also lived in Arizona for 7 years, and just kind of a mishmash of all kinds of, had kind of a weird upbringing. So
You said your dad lives in New York and your mom lives here?
not anymore. He lives in Pennsylvania, in Harrisburg.
But you would go back and forth. Like, how often would you go back and forth?
Very often. I probably went back to live there throughout high school and middle school 5, 6, 7 times. I don't know. I can't count. Many. And then I went to college there for 2 years too. So
What made you gravitate back here toward California or the West Coast?
I got married.
Oh, nice. That's a good reason.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. I would have stayed there. But...
Okay. Thank you, Daniel. Anybody else want to go as far as brief introductions?
Well, I can. My introduction is very similar to Daniel's, except I was born here in England, lived in Zimbabwe for about 20 years, came back here to England to do A levels and then my degree, and then I went back to Zimbabwe to try and help my dad out there, but Zimbabwe wasn't doing so well. That was between 2005 and 7. Ended up coming back here again, and it's the esoteric phenomena, which was basically harassing me my entire life, and I didn't really understand it and what was going on. It all became much clearer when I went back to Zimbabwe, and I was about 32 or 33, and that's when the fit hit the shan, so to speak. And, the electronic targeting and all that sort of thing really hit home then. And it's been quite a ride since then. I mean, there have been times when it's been unbelievable, but I've gotten a much better handle over it now. It's taken me about 6 or 7 years of research to basically get to grips with what's happening, and things have quietened down since then. Over the last couple of weeks, I'd say, since I understood, how this whole thing operates. And yeah, that's a brief background for me.
Okay. Rin, could you share a little bit?
Okay, my name is Rin. I'm from the West Midlands in England. Born and raised here. My parents are from the Punjab in India. What can I say? I have a lot of memories of things happening when I was a lot younger. So we're talking like 5, 6, 7, 8. I would say I had a happy upbringing, a happy childhood. But things outside of the family, extreme bullying at school, here from my peers. A few things happened, and I think I shut down. But I was questioning things, what this life is, what I'm doing here from a very, very early age. I remember having an old school, what we call a vintage typewriter now, and I remember I used to write my musings down and my thoughts because I didn't have anyone to talk to growing up. I was quite isolated in that sense, and I'd type musings up and then read them back to myself, and then I'd tear these musings up.
Did you ever share them with anybody? Did you ever try to share them with anyone?
No, it was just my eyes only. Got into quite a few abusive relationships in my late teens and 20s. Got 2 beautiful children. My daughter's 21 now, and I have a son 20. Currently, I mean, I would say it's a complicated relationship, but it's not.
Is it the same? Is it the father of your children, or is it somebody else?
No, he's not involved. He's not involved at all.
So it's a new relationship.
Sorry?
Is it new?
This is a different relationship.
Yeah. Okay.
But I've reached a point now where I've been in a bit of a rut with this relationship for the past, 5, 6 years. And I've got to a place where the fear of things staying the same is greater than, the fear of starting all over and losing it all. And I'm a martial arts instructor, so
what martial art?
I teach a mixed martial arts syllabus, so it's a little bit of kickboxing, karate, jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, a bit of kung fu.
Jeet Kune Do?
Sorry?
Jeet Kune Do?
Jeet Kune Do.
Yeah. I did martial arts for a while as well, for several years.
All right,
So,
okay.
It's an excellent. I think of it as kind of like a northern star around which to orient one's life, and it provides meaning and structure and discipline, and gives one a reason to get good sleep and to eat healthy food, and it's sorry, to change, and the physical defense issue was something that I became very good at, but it was then the psycho-spiritual sort of element started to kick in, and that was something that my own martial arts practice took a back burner over the last couple of years whilst I was trying to figure out what the hell was going on. And so like I said, it's I know what this thing is now, but we can just Gary, did you want to say anything?
No, I'm just enjoying. I wanted to see if Fabian could introduce himself, if he has found a voice yet or not, but I don't know if he has. Fabian, are you able to you have audio yet or no?
Samir, I just wanted to ask, when you said you now know
No.
what this thing is, what you were referring to?
Yeah. Okay. Well, in essence, what we're looking at is they're called tulpas and egregores.
Yeah.
Okay. And in
Thought
essence,
forms.
sorry, what? Yes, that's exactly what it is. And in the same way that children, when they're growing up, they can, when we're playing games, and someone gets hurt, and we say, they got carried away by the game, because you've got individual people in it who are like biochemical transmitter receivers, in a magnetic sense as well. And what we can do is, you can think of our brains as seed beds for ideas. Ideas can take on a life of their own and take on intelligence of their own, but they do not have a biology like we do, so they've got nothing to live off of. So they're parasitic in that sense. Now, in essence, like the extreme bullying that you witnessed growing up, and that I went through as well, what you're looking at here is an egregore, which is it's not going to sound very pleasant, but it's a homicidal, suicidal egregore. And what that is it's got actually the ability to jump from mind to mind, and it can coordinate a series of individuals who do not know who they are or why they're here. They've got very low self-awareness, and so it can just jump into them like a car and take them for a ride. And so what you and I have been followed by is, it's not nasty people per se. Humanity is a very abused species, actually. It's last couple of thousand years has not been pleasant for us at all. And so the thought forms that we've created are also based around, in essence, black magic practice carried on from our ancestors, you see. And these thought forms can continue on, and if it's been attached to your DNA, your bloodline, going back to your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, it follows your biology, your bloodline. And so likely something was done by our ancestors, and they kept it to themselves. Maybe the grandparents. I mean, I know that my grandfather, he was involved in, there's good and bad to each religion, but he was involved more in kind of Islamic black magic, and kind of kept that quiet. We know about this because of this box of, I suppose I never got to see them, but I think there would be talismans. And the talisman, through the thought form, is connected to different times and different places. And so, because these egregores, they need a being because they exist in, I suppose you can call it no time. They exist in the singularity where everything is happening all at once. And so the only way they can come in to our reality is through a perception or a perspective of ours. And so this thing, it's likely still following you around, as it is with me. But the main thing to understand about it is to have in essence, this damn place, Earth. It's there's a guy called Org Tellis, very interesting person. Okay, and watch the Spiritual Evolution System. It's a video of his. It's called the Spiritual Evolution System, and he explains everything. So, in essence, what's happening to us is that we're being taught through pain. So, and the idea is to take the pain and to transform it through an alchemical kind of process from pain, emotional pain, physical pain, that sort of thing, and to transform it into knowledge, wisdom, and growth. You see? And so yourself, like myself, we get attacked physically, perhaps, and so we learn how to defend ourselves physically. Uh, it's a system that's actually been. I traced it back to, and I tried to speak about this in Guys Unisolating 5, and I was cut off because the system didn't want the information out at that point. But I'll try and relay it again now. In essence, we have been implanted or infected with black goo meteorite stones going back thousands of years. There's one in Mecca in the Kaaba. Now, I'm not saying that some of these might be good, some of them might be bad, but some of them are definitely extremely evil. They've got, again, black goo meteorite rocks in Vatican and city centre of London. And they are a substrate upon which a planetary, because our substrate is like our brains, our neural cells, our brains, our guts, our hearts all have neural cells, and that, along with our circulatory system, is the substrate upon which we operate. Planets also have a consciousness, and this is a planetary consciousness that's self-destroyed, and it's coming back here because truth generalizes. So, for example, you might see that the veins on a leaf and the veins in the lungs, they look similar, because nature has found a similar way to express what it needed to express. The same is true in social relationships. So, for example, troubled relationships that you've been in, perhaps myself and others, what's actually happening is that you are recreating a scenario that didn't work out well the last time because your mind-body is trying to figure out the puzzle, like what's wrong, what's going on here, and wants to recreate the situation, in essence, to bring healing. Do you follow me?
What do you mean by last time? You mean last lifetime, or what do you mean?
Oh yes. Well, yeah, it can be the last lifetime, but what it's a question. It's something that's not understood, and as fragments of God, we want to understand. Okay, that's we want to know the truth, and deep down inside us, what we're about is when we come to a new piece of information, which is what makes us different from maybe 80% of the population or more. To them, is this popular? Is this information popular? And then they'll accept it. If it's true, that's a bonus. Okay? For us, it's different. We ask two questions. Is this true? And is it morally correct? Deep down inside us, that's the sort of question that we ask. And it doesn't really matter whether it's 1,000 years ago or today. If it's something that's not understood, then it's recreated so that we can actually, for example, when you've got those spelling contests, or they would have like two words, and you would be given like 3 or 4 of the letters for those words, and you have to guess what those words are. Are you familiar with that? So if I was to try and guess your name, and I was given a D and an N and a B and like a B and a Y,
Jeopardy.
and if I knew enough about the overall scenario, I'd be able to guess the rest of the content.
Also predictive texting.
Yeah, predictive texting.
Yeah.
And so the idea is, in order for us to understand what's going on, we need more of the letters applied to the name so that we can understand more of it. That's why we're recreating the scenario, and this planetary consciousness that kept on self-destroying, going from one bad relationship to another, but it was harmed well outside of its ability to heal. This is this is what's known as the demiurge, which has been removed apparently, and I can feel it. So now this is why we can get together, and we can actually stand a chance. And all throughout historical text, it was what this thing wanted was blood and fire sacrifice, okay, to the meteorite rock, because what it could only absorb energy on the spectrum. So when the planet just was blown up, like we're close to, we've been inspired to sort of do with to do with Earth, because apparently deserts, they're not a natural phenomenon. You know, they're created. And the sands in Saudi Arabia and other places are actually radioactive from previous wars, things like that. That's why nothing grows there. So when the planet self-destroys, the consciousness, like a ghost, leaves, and because it died a violent death, it can only absorb energy on the spectrum of pain, fear, suffering, that sort of thing. And that's why we've got psychopaths in charge, because they're the only ones who would give up blood sacrifices to these extremely intelligent sort of demon gods, you know. I don't want to take
the sellouts, so to speak, right?
Yeah, they're sellouts, and that's why all the missing children, all this, this obsession, and it runs through the Bible as well. Blood, flesh, blood of Jesus, the flesh. You know, it's because that is the energy it can only absorb. That's wars. That's why they're there, because they don't make any sense. The war is actually a blood sacrifice, and a lot of our cities are actually set up on nexus points of the planet, because I mean, from what I've seen, you can actually see. I can send people videos if they're interested. Like the central cities, central towers, and so on in America and elsewhere. They're coded with certain numbers, and you can see gargoyles on them and so on, because the black magicians are the ones who've been in charge here for like thousands of years. They're losing power now, but this is where, you know, we're going through like quite a rocky time.
What is the origin of this parasitic consciousness, or what do you think caused it to become this way? That's like an impossible question. Can we trace it back to a different universe? I don't know. Anything.
No, I've got the answer, but I've got the answer in principle. So how things are supposed to work is that the dominant consciousness of the planet, because you've got the planet, and then we're like a membrane on the planet. And if you think of it in that way, and like our telephone lines and so on, they're like a grid, a communication grid, if you look at the planet as a cell, okay? And the dominant consciousness on the planet, so, for example, how we're supposed to use our intelligence is we got a wife or a girlfriend, and she tells, because the brain cells in men and women are different. Our brains are more based around mechanical calculation, whereas women's psycho-spirituality is more based around the social and emotional aspects. And so they help to they smooth out a man's rougher edges. So what's supposed to happen is that she'll tell the man, oh, you know, the baby carriage isn't good enough, or there's a problem with the wood, something like that, and we would go out and we would find the right wood, and because we're more mechanically minded. So our intelligence is supposed to be based around a combination of wisdom and intelligence, okay? And the wisdom is brought about through empathy as well. What happens when you become smarter than you are wise is, instead of making a knife to take down an animal for food for the family, you're making the knife sharper and building the technology around invading another tribe, another species, taking hostages, slaves, and so forth. And when you take that intelligence and you zoom it forwards through like 1,000 years, instead of having, you then have an incredibly warlike people who are bringing their timeline down to zero, because they're more intelligent than they are wise, and that's just putting hopefully I'm explaining this well enough, but that's putting a noose around their own necks, because they're now creating problems that because of the law of unintended consequences, they're creating problems they don't have the intelligence to actually solve.
Samir, if I can interrupt you for a second, I want to read the definition of egregore so people have a little bit better idea of the base. Egregore is an occult concept representing a thought form or collective group mind, an autonomous psychic entity made up of and influencing the thoughts of a group of people. So it's like
Hive.
it's the hive mind, and
Yeah.
and the hive mind, it's obvious that it's out there and it's obvious that it's blind. Like that's I think what we complain about a lot is the structure. It's like an endless make more, do more, get more products. I saw an ad just recently about a TV, and they were trying, whoever made the ad was trying to say like, finally the TV that everybody's been waiting for, this 4K OLED TV, it's finally here, be excited about it. And I was just thinking like, we have the technology has been doubling itself over and over, and it has completely disregarded actually containing good creative content. It barely contains it anymore. So the part that is making itself better, or the masculine logic oriented mindset, seems to have had most of the power here, and like they say, the feminine has been suppressed to the point of the feminine has to start trying to become masculine in order to survive in the first place. And I think that's probably where feminism oriented or originated from. That's probably where that concept came from, because there wasn't any room left for that sort of nurturing, emotion-based being.
Yeah.
You know what comes to mind? Like, I don't know why every time you say egregore, like the first thing I think of as like a collective thought form was, remember how a few years back the meme of Slender Man came out, and then people actually started seeing Slender Man in the woods
Uh-huh.
and filming him and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, I don't know if it's real or not, but it's just an interesting idea. Like things like that, like, do we create these entities?
I think it is like that. And the reason wars are allowed to proliferate is because you have half the people holding the idea that the universe is a fixed thing that we are exploring. It's already fixed. Like the whole thing is already as it is, and you can go explore and see more of it. Whereas the opposing viewpoint to that is that it isn't fixed. It's purely subjective as to each individual, and each individual is a universe unto themselves. And then you sort of attract to universes or people that are similar enough to your own that you can actually see them at all, because there is such a gradation of variance that there are many universes, I'm sure, that we can't even see because the frequency is so different.
Yeah.
And that creates a war mentality between the people who are saying this is how it is and we must fight to preserve our resources because that's the fixed sort of earth idea, whereas those of us who know like the thing is infinite and there's no really telling what it is or what it isn't, and yes, you can create things with thought forms, you would just say, how would I create, the new age retarded concept? It's not actually retarded, but it's been overblown, right? The thing that says, wish your reality into existence, be the best version of yourself, like all of this stuff. There's some woo-woo stuff in there, but there's also truth in it. Like, we do create our reality. I'm very, very certain of it.
War is so ingrained in our collective memory that it's almost like we expect it. Which is kind of creepy if you think about it. Mm-hmm. It's been in our collective for thousands of years, so it's like normal.
Yeah, and
isn't normal at all.
The trauma was normalized too. Like that's why we're so used to like the grind, the suppressive aspects that even myself and Andrea, like when we get a breath of like a space where there isn't presses and demands all the time, then sometimes worry starts coming in just because we're not used to sort of being non-fucked with. It's a very strange sort of situation.
Or you just know that it's like, it's the waiting around the corner.
Right, like
drop on you any second.
Mm-hmm. We have a moment of peace, like where's the next boogeyman gonna pop out from?
Don't get too happy.
And we become addicted to replacing old pain with new pain.
Mm-hmm.
We've been in the crucible for so long, because the crucible was meant to. Because there was a vision that I was given. It was because talking about the occult, like my sister's friends used to float up by the ceiling when we were children, and like you said, you've seen all kinds of strange things in your life. I've had things like that.
Like physically float up? Not you're not talking about dreams?
Oh yeah, floating. we were playing a game called Light as a Feather, Stiff as a Board. And we would press our fingers against each other, and then we would put our fingers underneath the child. We were only about 10 or 11 at the time.
Samir, one moment, Samir.
With our fingers.
It's the meeting's about to quit. The meeting's about to quit. We have to reboot basically for the last like 20 minutes or so, but I'll send the invite again to everybody, and we can at some point when I'm not poor, I'll be able to afford the Zoom thing. But let me send you all the invitation again, and we'll continue till around 12 or so.
All right.
Okay?
Cool.
All right, see you in a bit.
How much is it to?
I think it's $15 a month.
Well, if you got 3 people paying, who pays for it?
Yeah. Yeah. I might just start collecting, the subscription fees just so we can have these things be reasonable.
Yeah.
And I don't know. We can talk about all of that. Update now. Okay, later. Let's just go start with video because it's tremendously annoying.
Yeah, it breaks the entire flow.
Mm-hmm.
And then you gotta wait for everybody to possibly get back on there.
Right. So let's do the thing all over again. Flap, flap, flap. Flappy gels. I don't know why Omar didn't ever show up.
He's posting on Facebook.
I know. It's too cool for school.
We see you.
Daniel. Omar. What? Oh, email again. It's such acrobats just to make these things happen. It's amazing. Okay, there's Daniel. Oops. Invalid. Samir.
Don't forget about me.
Yeah.
Ew.
Is nobody showing up yet?
Can't see, I'm not in there.
Oh. Oh, God.
I told you, don't forget about me.
Okay, I sent it. I hope it's the right one. I might have sent the same one on accident. Okay, invite. Copy URL. I think I might have sent the same one on accident. Because Omar is saying it's... Yeah. Okay, let me try this one. Try that one. Okay, you, Samir. Omar. There we go. Ren. And
Scary.
Daniel. And Fabian, I think is the last one.
I want to hear about the floating people still.
Yeah.
Want to hear about what? Sorry?
The floating people.
Oh, yeah.
And Fabian.
You can wait till everybody gets here if you want.
Okay, I sent the wrong link to everybody at first, so once everyone receives the correct one, then we should be good.
Oh, the bee man's
Hello.
here.
Dr. Beans,
Hey.
what's up?
How's it going?
He's awake.
All right, he made it. So who are we missing? We're missing
Yeah.
Rin.
I'm awake. I had no sleep last night.
Omar,
How
good
you
to see
doing?
you.
Hey, how are you?
Good, man, good.
Good.
Rin.
You have a very interesting painting there. There's nothing in it but a circle. What is that?
Oh, no, it's mirror. It's the mirror.
Oh, okay. I was like, that's doing pretty abstract art you got there. I like it.
2DC, Fabian.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you've been good, Dr. Beans?
Absolutely. Every day is good. If it's not, it's a living hell, and that's your choice.
Fair enough. Welcome back, Rin.
Hey, Omar.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
We might get everybody, possibly. We're only missing
Yeah,
Omar
miss
as far as
little coffee country.
yeah. Omar, you were the only holdout. We had everyone here. Just Fabian was muted. He didn't find his voice yet.
Well, I had to eat a snack, so I just ate a pound of turkey and half an cheese.
You ate a pound of turkey?
I was using my brain too much. It depleted the storage.
Turkey makes you sleepy, though, no?
Yeah.
Turkey makes me
What
sleepy.
does turkey?
Tryptamines,
Yeah.
right? Tryptamines?
What?
What are they called?
I don't know. Not in my brain.
I think they're called tryptamines. I could be wrong.
I don't know. It does make me sleepy, though.
I've heard that too, though, but I think only on Thanksgiving because I eat some of it.
Are you doing pre-Thanksgiving face stuffing of turkey?
No, turkey is just a part of my diet. It's really healthy and it tastes good. So.
Okay. Good. Okay, I just want to make sure Fabian's the last one, and I just want to make sure I didn't send him the shit link, and I think I sent the correct one. So Fabian may or may not show up. Omar, if you could briefly introduce yourself, and Andrea, you need to as well, so you can go after Omar.
Sure. Let me turn off the music that's behind me because this is eventually going to get.
Yes. Fabian's attempting to surface from the depths.
Okay. There we go. I've decided to embrace trying to use my iPhone. So
You hear me now?
Fabian's here. Woo!
Whoa!
Hi, Fabian.
Good to hear you and see you. But yeah, Omar, if you could.
Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. That's good.
Sure. Gary, you wanted me to introduce myself?
Yes, please, briefly.
Okay. I exist in time and space. I live in California. The reason I'm here in this world is to spread beauty and inspire other people to get closer to finding out who they are and what they can possibly do with themselves. Not by teaching, but by inspiring and just watching and nudging where I understand it to be helpful.
Good.
Otherwise, I just have a good time and I'm happy staring at the wall or a rock or a tree all day.
Nice. So the Californians outnumber the out of area people by like more than half. So we have me, Andrea, Omar, and Daniel all in California, and then Rin and Samir are in England, and Fabian is the lone Canadian.
P3 to P5.
Yeah.
P3 to P5?
Mm,
What's that?
it's shorthand notation.
I never understand half of what you're saying anyway, Omar, so it's completely fine.
Well, in chess, you notate your moves in a board in a USCF move, in
Uh-huh.
the little book,
Yep.
like F4 to F5.
Mm-hmm.
So, P3 to P5 was Californians make the first move pawn 3 to pawn 5.
Oh.
but I didn't give you the file number.
You didn't tell me the game.
I
You didn't tell me
I
the.
know.
You didn't notify me of the egregore we were using.
But you're the chess guy, so I figured you'd understand that there was a.
Yes, but in chess we never use. Okay, I've heard of P3 to P5. I've heard of that type of notation, but it's very unusual. You would just say D5 or E5.
Yeah, it's an old notation that fell out of use in the 50s. So I just wanted to test your metal.
Okay. I do understand now, but I'm not always on top of it. I'm not always like, I'm kind of lazy with my thoughts sometimes. But
Brother, I don't even wear a wristwatch. There's no harm done.
a wristwatch. That's pretty good.
I don't wear one either.
I only wore a wristwatch when I was running. And now I hear that Fitbits are trying to like kill people, so I think I'll stay away from the wearing things on your wrist thing for a while.
Oh,
intense frequencies.
Tell me about the Fitbit thing.
Wait.
It freaked me out.
We gotta wait. We gotta finish introductions. Andrea, it's your turn.
Oh.
I don't even like introductions.
That's fine.
Can they hear me fine?
You can work on your self-discipline skills. Can you guys hear her okay? Because she's only coming through my speaker, not her own. Because she's actually in the same spot. Now there's two of Andrea.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm Andrea. I am hanging out in California these days. I'm from the East Coast originally. I guess my life so far and probably for the future will be just learning to peel back the layers and get back to whatever the most authentic version of myself is, and then try to express that as best I can. That's been my sort of path thus far. So yeah, happy to be here, happy to share and connect.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, last one, Fabian, if you still have your voice. Can you introduce yourself?
Me, I'm from my mom. And just
Came in through the canal.
Portal.
Came in through the canal portal. Fabian's the woods dweller among us. You spend like most of your time in the woods, right?
Yeah. Trying to get close to the netters.
The netters?
Yeah, the nature.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, the nature spirits.
Mm-hmm. Do you find
Where
it?
in Canada do you live? What region?
What was that?
Where in Canada? What?
Quebec.
Oh, okay.
Quebecois.
Oh, he didn't say kibitz. Is that how you're supposed to pronounce it?
Near Ottawa, maybe 20 miles from Ottawa.
Hope my computer's not trying to overheat. Okay, well that's all. That's introductions. We finally got through them with the show nearly coming to an end, but that's good.
But where's Daniel from?
Daniel's San Diego, right? Yep.
Oh, okay.
Whale's vagina.
Is that what it's called?
I mean,
Camp Hendricks.
if you've watched Anchorman, that's what it's called.
Oh yeah.
You're right.
Like that one snuck in before I stopped watching popular movies.
We just watch Netflix now. We don't even watch regular. We haven't seen a movie. I've never seen a movie with you. And I haven't been
Yes, we have.
like a movie in the theater.
Not in the theater.
No, we've never
There's
been.
no good ones in the theater.
There is one.
Oh yeah?
Joker.
Yeah,
Oh,
You guys
that's
gotta see the Joker.
that's the one that we were wanting to see.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'll pass. I usually look for things with a completely original plot, and I'll just torrent them and then watch it and then download it or delete it, because after once I know the whole movie and there's no point watching it again unless it's amazing.
But that's illegal, though, Omar.
Just kidding. But I also have Netflix. I pay for that.
Okay, so where were we at? We were talking about floating. We were talking about floating to the ceiling. Lauda actually floated to the ceiling also. On one of the episodes I had her on, she had this experience where she floated up and got stuck near the corner of her ceiling, and her parents freaked out and all this good stuff.
Before I forget, eventually tell us about the Fitbit trying to kill people, because those are really...
Okay. I don't know anything about it, but I know it's a thing.
Okay, well, I know that the green light pulses into your blood, and it doesn't look cool to me, so...
The green light from the Fitbit?
Yeah, I had one for about a week to check it out, and I felt really weird wearing it. And I took it off one day, and I was just staring at it, and there's crazy green light coming out of it really, really fast. And so I figured maybe it's downloading codes and trying to pulse them into your blood to communicate with your cells.
Yeah, Google bought out Fitbit, and that's one large, information network.
For a couple billion, right? They bought Fitbit for a few billion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2.1.
Yeah. That's a lot of magic green papers that they're talking about there.
I think they emit more radiation than cell phones, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm not sure. Does anybody know?
I've just been seeing people with burns on their wrist.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
like nasty burns.
Have-
Or to
Burns? Wow.
I've seen it where it's exploded on their arm and it leaves like a massive.
Oh, wow. While we're
I know
on
that
this
my
topic,
mom's
real
arm
quick.
has gone numb.
Sorry, go ahead.
My mom's arm has gone numb from wearing it.
Yeah?
A lot of my students wear them, and I have to say, like when we're in class, take them off, please.
Has anybody else had the thing that I noticed? I know I posted something about this on Facebook. I think Omar commented on it, but the pulsing that the iPhone gives out, has anyone noticed, like, when they close their eyes, you'll see this little blinking thing, then it fades out when you try to concentrate on it? Like, I feel like that's coming from the iPhone and perhaps the iPad as well.
As a kid, before any of this stuff existed, yeah. I haven't noticed it from the iPad directly, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
The iPhone.
It's like it doesn't want to be seen. Like it will just be blinking. Like if I close my eyes really, really fast, and then if I look at, like, kind of like if you look at a really dim star, it disappears. And then if you look at the periphery, then it comes back into focus. It's kind of like that.
Well, go and do that with the sun. You'll find the same thing happens.
With the sun, it will disappear.
Yeah, so maybe it's just the phosphor from the phone.
Maybe. Like, it doesn't seem to be a hassle or a bother really, but it's definitely, I feel like it's coming from the phone. I don't know for sure.
Do you have
Yeah,
yours turned on? What's your brightness? 'Cause sorry.
Silence.
I was just saying, what's the phone brightness? Because I always have mine way down.
I have it whatever it is to where I can still see it. I don't like to have it on incredibly bright. Like at night, I keep it turned down as low as I can to where it's not hurting my eyes. But, it doesn't really bother me. I feel like the whole technology thing it's poisoning us, and it's also allowing us to connect to each other at the same time. It's a very strange, like, it's another weird bipolar extremity thing where we need it to connect with, we need it to connect with sort of the other real people, but it's also like hurting us at the same time and radiating us and all of this.
Well, I think you're right. We've evolved as humans to use it as a tool. Those of us who are more aware of our surroundings than others. But It's not necessarily that.
For me, all the
it's-
technological stuff I don't know much about.
You're able to do this. Most people don't even know how to do this.
Well, I'm just lucky, I guess. Lucky day.
I'm always happy when Fabian manages to figure it out. I think I've had Fabian on this is like the third or fourth time.
Yeah.
You guys are any of you guys friends with Arena IOSub?
Irina?
Yeah.
I'm friends with her on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's been doing this art journal for a while, and her friend approached me today about collaborating to get it published as a book and build a website for it. So that's what I was busy doing before when I was supposed to be eating. But like you were saying, we use this platform to find each other and to build other things with. It's kind of like a you know how cars are technically time travel machines because they move faster than we can walk. The internet is very much a time space aggregator / wormhole / hyperdrive accelerator kind of thing because it moves at the speed of light through fiber, but we still operate and interface with it in real time. So it's this double-edged thing where if you aren't focused with it, it'll carry you away with it. But if you're focused with it, you can use it as a tool with good intent. So yeah, I absolutely agree with you.
I got a question. Like a few days ago, it came out in the news. Google said that they've reached quantum supremacy.
Huh?
I don't even know what that means. Does anyone know what that even means?
Oh, yeah, Daniel, I have that paper. I can send you a link to that paper on Facebook as a PDF. It's just came out in May of this year, and it basically NASA sponsored research that was conducted in concert with Google and Lockheed and one other person. But what they were doing, there's some research tank in Santa Barbara actually. They were working on a new. I'll just send it to you.
Send it to me too, Omar, if you could. I'd be curious to read it.
Sure.
I don't know what that means, but off the top of my head, I'm sure it parallels Elon Musk's idea that he's gonna map the human brain and try to, the whole.
I thought it had something to do with quantum computing, the D-wave computers or something. I just didn't really get into it like I should have or looked into it very deeply. But I will now that you're gonna send me a link.
Well, you guys know they've been doing brain mapping for a number of years at rehab clinics and mental health clinics and hospitals, right?
Yeah.
Right, but this is I know that's how it is. The stuff has been around forever, and then finally someone decides that it's an okay moment to release publicly that this has been happening, but that's usually way past the initial thing. But it does signify something, the fact that Elon is allowed to say we're mapping the human brain. It is significant.
Yeah. Well, they started launching all those space satellites. Those are all internet things for the 5G grid.
What 5G? 5G is an interesting topic. We had a tower just on fire here in our city. A month ago? A 5G tower.
No way. All of
Spontaneously
these,
combusted.
Gary,
what's that?
all of these internet satellites that Musk is launching, those are actually 5G redundancy points, so the network can spread a mesh throughout parts of the world that don't have fiber.
So they want
and reinforce the network where there is fiber.
I think we were having this discussion the other day about we were trying to figure out why the government's trying to hand out cell phones to everybody that can't afford them. And I was thinking maybe it's because they want everyone connected to this grid in some way, shape, or form, even if they can't afford it. Just because if they're going to make the neural net, they want the neural net to have as many nodes as possible, right?
Well, remote African villages have cell phones now, pretty much anywhere in the world,
Yeah, well, you put a microwave emitter in somebody's hand, and it can affect their brain. If they're a weak-minded person or an average person, or even just a strong-minded person, if the signal is strong enough, it can influence your thoughts. You can send a message. Just like we're talking on voice right now, and these packets of audio that we're sharing are traveling through the air and we can't see them and hitting the device and coming out the speaker, they can send a message that says, go buy Nikes. The exact same way.
Right. And that's exactly what the TI stuff involves too, the V2K, voice of God, anything that people are susceptible to ported messages like that, because I think it's just the brain or our body-mind complex equates very similarly to just a transceiver, like a technological transceiver. And it's the same thing. Like the TI stuff, I feel, is on the very far end of the spectrum of that sort of experimentation of can we port messages into these transceivers. Whether or not they're consenting is a different story, but
Yeah.
I think, Daniel, you're saying you gotta take off?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you.
Hey, thank you for having me on. That was really interesting. Thank you guys. Bye, everyone.
Bye,
All
Daniel.
right, Daniel.
It's nice to meet you.
You as well. Thank you.
Next Sunday, same
Alright.
time.
Next time, yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
All right.
What did Chefs do?
Burchev? What?
Hello.
What's his name?
Well, I
Burchesky?
took a shot so I can send him the article. But, okay.
Do you have him on Facebook?
No, but I will now because I know his last name. So
His on Facebook is just Daniel
I
BER.
got no audio.
Daniel Burr.
oh, you got video too.
I can still hear
You
you,
got-
Fabian.
I can hear you, but no video.
So Andrea, I wanted to ask you your video that you did with Gary, the verbal vision board. How are you guys getting on with the finding a plot of land? You had a contact with you guys mentioned.
Oh, who was the contact for the land? Do you remember?
Oh, the guy?
It was a potential. I don't think.
It was I think it was another Daniel.
What were you guys gonna do? I didn't see the video.
No, I think it was a lady's name you mentioned.
Oh, it was the
Surname might have been May. I'm not sure.
I think it's the one that you did the show with. That
Xiang, I think. Xiang Mei.
That's the one.
Oh, Aurora's friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anything's coming of that, at least not right now, but we're just really focused on gathering funds and working as much as we can to become stable financially and then move forward from there. Sort of starting
Andrea,
at the very bottom. What's that?
Andrea, what's the project gonna be?
It's just where we'd like to see ourselves, basically, in hopefully the near future, near-ish future. I know for me, I want to create a space where people are able to come and have a safe place to authentically express themselves artistically or through dance or through whatever means calls to them. So ideally, I see like a place with many rooms, each devoted to different forms of art that people can come and just express themselves artistically, and that I will have my own space to do the same, you know. And I think Gary was talking about having a rage room and what else? Reiki,
Possibly massage, energy healing, and just like a lot of land. Just I want to have
grow food.
a commune of sorts, just a place. But being that we've seen, I mean, I know for myself, I've seen very directly anything that gains traction will be labeled a cult almost immediately, or it will be attacked and vilified. So like the whole point would be that we would be building this thing in a very quietness, with very normal outside appearances, and even internal. Like, we're not doing anything crazy. It's just like minds hanging out together, really, without the whole a very decentralized type of gathering where there's not like a king or a head that is vulnerable, and the sort of group is a self-supporting throughout. Every member has the same power, essentially.
Are you trying to do this on land or in a commercial zone space?
Land, just having it be out in nature somewhere.
Okay, because I have very similar ideas for the last decade. I almost did this 10 years ago, but then the asset was stolen. I had shot stock photography for a long time, and I had about 500,000 photos. I was just going to buy land and do that. So I'd be curious to hash that out with you guys and hear more about what you think, what you want to do.
Yeah.
For sure. It's definitely in the works. I know.
I don't have it either.
You don't have what?
I don't have it done yet either. I'd love to see if we can join forces in some way, perhaps.
Yeah. It's just something for me. Like, I know it has to be very slow, because the building of it has to be slow. The people that are going to be involved have to be thoroughly vetted, and they have to thoroughly understand the sort of mind that is going to be allowed to be there, because it's not going to just be a free-for-all type thing. It's going to be you have to have a very high level of self-discipline to be involved at all, just because of how difficult it is to manifest here and actually keep things going. Like, I've tried various things. Even this here, like this Snail Collective thing, this is an attempt at having a regular sort of thing that offers a regular sort of support system for the people involved. But it's not. I use the terminology to Andrea. It's like herding cats, because people all do their own thing, and it's hard to sort of like keep this energy going without me specifically outputting energy to herd everybody. So it's not a thing that happens super easily. It's a thing that I have to be disciplined. I have to be self-disciplined to do my part, and then everyone who wishes to be involved also has to be just self-disciplined.
It is. It's really, really, really true, everything you just said. And I see that dynamic play out in all sorts of ways too, even digitally. Like with the speakthings.com with the chat room, I've gotten 10 people to use it over the course of a month. And some people, for whatever reason, whether it's technological or they don't want to, they hear about it, they say, that sounds cool, and then they don't use it.
Yep. And that's been my problem I've had the same issue with chess groups, because I've wanted to have sort of formal study that is regular, that doesn't happen the same way lots of Facebook groups or any groups, where it becomes like a meme factory. And I enjoy memes, and all of this is great, but to me, like, each individual has such potential for giving of a very unique aspect. And then if everyone can do that without jumping on a trendy type mindset within a specific group, then that one group will be such a multifaceted hub. And then everyone who's watching that will gain from it, as opposed to the group mind think that like invaded a lot of Facebook things and all other type groups as well.
Absolutely, I totally agree. I actually had to unfollow people who keep posting Epstein crap, because it's like a virus.
It is a virus. It's a funny virus, but it's a virus.
I don't care if Epstein killed himself or didn't kill himself. I'm talking about it. Just shut up and do something interesting, please. Live up to your potential. Live up to your fucking potential, please.
There is something in that. There's something in the Epstein thing that is like, the truthers. The truthers are all excited. They're all excited that some information was allowed to be out there, right? And so they're taking that.
It's an anagram.
Maybe.
We have 10 more minutes.
I want to find an anagram generator online and see if I can type Epstein didn't kill himself and see if it pulls up some phrase.
I'm sure it's embedded with something.
Yeah, it usually is. Try anagram this.
Okay.
And Yeah, there's a problem with the audio as well. But if you try anagram this, I've come up with a lot of all the bylines, headlines, are if you anagram them with the dates involved as well, you come up with some very interesting information in it.
I got kind of turned on to that back in 2010 on the way back from Burning Man. We met this guy in Reno who had been working on gematria numerology, and that was the first time I had heard of it. And we sat at the bar there at the hotel, and he was telling me how he found out that Jesus and the Mushroom King and the sun is us and so on all add up to the same number.
Yeah.
And then some other words, and they're all synonyms in different groups, all add up to the same resonant number. And I was like, shit.
Jesus is a mushroom, I'm telling you.
Yeah, you've said that forever.
Yeah. And the meteorite stones I was talking about before, they're actually based, it's a technology that's actually based on a fungus. Which is quite interesting.
Say that again?
The black goo meteorite stones that brought this alien technology to our planet, along with ideas of revenge, blood sacrifice, that sort of thing. It's a technology that's based upon a fungal intelligence. It's actually quite interesting.
So it's like a rogue mycelium?
They brought it 80,000 years ago.
Yeah, it's the one that, that they've been, circling around in Mecca, for example, for the last 600 years.
Mm-hmm.
There's some very interesting information there. Like psychically, if you actually travel there, there's enormous energy coming from the Kaaba, going straight up, and I think it's going up to Saturn. That and all the if you type, there's a guy Harold Kautzvella.
Yeah, I know. What about Harold?
Harold Couch. He's got him, Org, and a number of other people. Their work all coincides, and when you type Harold Kautzvella into the Gematrinator, the Jewish gematria. When I typed his name in, Harold Kautzvella, one of the matching resonant words that came up was the cat's out the bag, which means
because I don't think that's his actual name, dude.
No, I know. What I'm trying to say is that it's all a game. It's all an act, but they're still trying to tell us the truth. And if you type his name into the Gematrinator, one of the things that comes up is the cat is out the bag, and that means that the truth is out. That's what it means. The cat's out the bag.
Howard Clout?
You know that Harold was selling a support supplement for people with Morgellons that actually was laced with nanofibers in it, right?
Yep, I read too.
Yeah.
That Lauda actually had the black goo in her blood and had it removed, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, the idea was to have both.
Spears also vomited that stuff. He was, I think, when he was dying, or when he was found, he had vomited a bunch of black goo right beforehand.
Yeah.
Max Spears.
Yeah, he did.
And the black goo thing. It is interesting how it's the vector by which it was transmitting itself was scandal. Scandal created by what we now know as psychopathic narcissists.
Mm-hmm.
And they all operate in the same way. To me, they operate as like interdimensional shock troopers. What do? They target the intelligent empaths, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the glue that holds the society together. They use the same 4 tactics every time: projection, isolation, gaslighting, and triangulation, like a computer program.
Mm-hmm.
All right? They think 5, 10, 15 years ahead. They've got no human attributes to them. They've got no passions, these psychopathic narcissists. I've watched them. I've looked at them because unfortunately, I've known them for a while. That's how I've got to understand this so well. They don't enjoy music. They don't enjoy sunsets. There's nothing. They can act like there's something there, but there's nothing there. And when they look at you, they're scanning. And if you pay close attention to their eyes, they've got this banking effect in which
like this, eyes go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, and you can you can sort of see like when I'm speaking with you, there's like a human curiosity and there's a softness to the whole thing. With these narcissists, there's nothing like that. And
Have you noticed that, Andrew? Like
they,
some people, their eyes are always doing this back and forth when they're looking at you.
I've seen that before.
I think most of the time I've seen it as a cop.
yeah, and well, with the police, or the corporations and institutions, they all, they carry thought about them from another dimension, which is why we get so confused about it. Because not anything, I found a shortcut to helping us to understand what was going on, is if you listen to a child, anything that confuses a child, I found, it's a clue, it's a heuristic, or it helps us to know that this probably isn't meant to be here. Like when a child sees their mother and father hugging, they don't ask questions about that. But if they see them fighting, they do. Also, death, I think, was transported here. Gary, there's a brilliant video I think you should watch called Cosmic Mildew. All right? And it's talking about how, let me just double check.
Send me the link. I'll watch it when I can. Just to let you guys know, we have 3 minutes left in this second free
but
deal.
It is. Sorry, I just have to check this. Make sure it is.
Does that mean that we have to do it again, Gary?
Nope, that means this is the end.
Oh.
For today, if anyone wants to come back, I'm doing one at 9 today as well with Guy 3 and anybody else who I guess wants to come back can. But there are different time zones that can't. For Guy 3, it would be 3 in the morning to be able to show up to this one, so I'm doing one at 9 tonight for her. And otherwise, the meetings are just going to be weekly on Sundays, and I would like, as we progress with these things, to focus them a bit where the ideas that we're talking about and our own personal lives, the things we're trying to achieve, because we all know that lots of difficulty is present everywhere when you're trying to do anything here. So the group I would like to have as a structure, a supporting structure for incubating ideas.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With consistency. It has to be consistent, and everyone who's in it has to be able to exercise self-control. If you can't, you're not going to be in it. Like, it would just be a waste of my time and everybody else's.
Yeah. Like, for example, the technological applications. Gary, do you know, when I was trying to get, it was this Deliveroo app put onto my phone, it took 3 months to do. Because the technology, like Omar was trying to share his IRC with me, the technology just won't download. It won't do it. And it's...
Why?
So I had to have the manager of the company from inside the company, and it took him like 20, 30 minutes to download the app when it takes everybody else like 5 minutes. And then the app was removed from my phone. Just removed it. Then I had to get the manager to do it again. He did it again. Cause this is crazy.
We gotta say goodbyes, guys. It's less than a minute. We gotta say goodbyes. But anyone else who wants to come back on at 9, you're welcome to. Otherwise, thank you all for being here, and thank you, Samir.
What time? 9 o'clock. What time is that for me?
Thank you, Gary.
Like
Add exactly 9 hours to whatever time your clock says right now.
Samir, we're 8 hours ahead.
It's in 8.5 hours from now. Right now it's 12:30 here, so yeah.
We're Pacific Standard Time here.
So
Pacific Standard Time plus 9.
Oh, and Rin,
Here.
since we,
it's gonna cut.
we're in the same sort of location, and we both do martial arts and so on, and we've got similar experiences, it might be a good idea for us to sort of try and connect over Facebook or something, just temporarily at least, until a better method. It's Samir Kal.
So awkward. All right. That was fun. So I'm gonna name it Snail collective. 1A. Tonight will be 1B, and then I'll just number them like that as we go.